Welcome to the Kevin R. Livingston, David Adams Hood podcast, Workaday Hollywood. Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. How are you?
Well, not bad. I'm hanging in there.
We're talking to Jason today.
We're talking to Jason Renable. Yes, a working comedian, actor in Hollywood. Great guy. We'll bring him on in a few. But right
All
now,
right.
I just want to kibitz with my friend here.
Okay.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. I was waiting for a set of bullet points. I don't know who Jason is.
Well, Jason, I just told you is a comedian and the show open. What more do you
Okay.
need to
Well,
know?
a lot more apparently, but I guess we'll find out as we ask him questions.
We will, because
All
this
right.
that kind of podcast. This isn't The View. It's not the talking. What's that show with them women? The Talk. This is all real here, in real time.
In real in the sense that you know about him, but I don't. I understand.
Well, you're an interviewer. Is that hard a deal? You're a smart guy.
All right.
I mean, you can figure it out. No.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Just know that I'm at a disadvantage.
Well, of course you are. You're halfway. You're all the way on the other side of the country. Of course you're at
I
a
am.
disadvantage.
I don't know where you are with all that purple and blue and stuff, but I'm in the real world here.
Where I am is having an out of body experience.
Yeah.
That's where I am.
I am in Lewiston, Maine.
You know why Lewiston, Maine is famous?
No, I do not.
Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston. I think the year was 1963, if I'm not mistaken.
Wasn't he Cassius Clay at that moment?
At that moment, he was Cassius Clay, correct.
All right. Okay.
And he knocked out the big bear. That's what they call Sonny Liston. So tell me about the tree you planted.
Oh, we planted a cherry tree yesterday. I had planted a cherry. Well, we had a cat that died a couple of years ago. I wanted to put a cherry tree next to where we put her. Last year, I bought a cherry tree, but I did not have a shovel. But now I have a shovel and a cherry tree. So we'll get some cherries. Put them right behind the chicken coop.
So you actually live in Green Acres out there, huh?
Yeah, kind of. You and I met each other in Venice Beach, so it's I'm pretty far away from Venice Beach these days.
Well, Venice Beach is a long way from Green Acres, that's for sure.
That's right.
That's funny though. Huh. Well, I'm glad you built the memorial for your cat. It was a
Yeah,
black cat too, wasn't it?
it was a black cat, like 22 years old. It was very old for a cat.
22. Your cat was 22.
Yeah,
Wow, black cat.
yeah,
They say black don't crack, and I guess cats live longer, huh?
I guess so.
Well, I just had to ask a question. I mean,
Yeah,
22-year-old black cat. I mean, most people see a black cat and they're afraid. I embrace it, actually.
that's right. So you want to talk about your license, your driver's license?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I went to the DMV
Yeah.
this week to get my renewal.
Hmm.
And, I don't know what it is. Every time I go in there, they make me take a test. Now, you only suppose it's supposed to be a random thing, but it was like, I had filled out my form the night before, and it didn't give me the number I needed when I got to the window. So I go in there, I stand in line, I get to the window. The woman says, "What's your number?" I said, "I don't know. They didn't give me one." She's like, "What do you mean they didn't give you one?" I said, "They didn't give me one. They asked me to color my eyes, they asked me to color my hair, but they didn't give me a number." She says, "Well, you got to go get a form. You have to download it again, fill it out, go back in that line that I just came from, and then come back over here with a number." So the whole thing took me, I don't know, 3 hours.
I have a question.
Sure.
What color is your hair?
It's black.
Is it?
Yeah.
Last I noticed, it was not existent.
Well, you can't see it under my hat. You realize that, right? I do
You were,
have hair.
you,
What?
yeah, I thought you
I do.
shaved it. I thought you shaved it,
But it's black when it grows.
but you don't grow
I
it.
still grow hair. What? You act like I need to grow an afro or something to see that I have black hair.
All right.
Now we're going to bring in Jason, who's a touring comedian. Jason Renable, very funny guy.
Hi, Jason.
Hello. How are
How
you?
are We're
Good.
good. How are you, sir?
Oh, just lovely. Just lovely having a wonderful morning out here. Wait, what time is it? Afternoon in LA. Lovely weather.
Uh, so, my friend, I'm glad,
Can I move?
you were able to do this with us. Tell us a little
Yeah,
bit about your
me
background
too.
before you got into comedy. Like where you're from, what inspired you to do it.
All right. Well, I'm from originally from Southern California in a little place called Orange County down south, and I've lived in LA for about 20 plus years though. And what inspired me to do stand up? I moved here for acting. I want to be a serious actor. I wanted to be in the next Star Wars. But that didn't really work out too well. But so I started doing like improv, sketch comedy, stuff like that. Groundlings, you heard of that?
Yeah.
Did
Yep.
that for a little
I
while. Never really thought I'd get into stand up, but I went to see a friend perform one time and just eat shit. Can we say that? Just yeah, you say that
Well,
on
we
here.
did. Don't worry
So he
about it.
didn't do well. Yeah, and then I saw several other people doing stand up not do very well. So my friend's like, "Well, why don't you try it then? You think you're so good." And so I tried it, and obviously I crushed my first time. So um,
sure.
just got better and better and better, and now look at me now. I'm getting interviewed by you guys, and the guy on the right looks like he's at a swamp somewhere by a bridge, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are.
So the first time you got on the stage, you crushed. I mean, the first time
Not
I got
real.
on the
Well,
stage, I was terrible.
yeah. So you haven't really changed, but I either have I. Like I've I'm kidding. I was joking, kid. No, I didn't crush my first time, but I did better than half the other guys out there. And then I just, I don't know. I got good kind of fast, you know,
Uh-huh.
unlike my dramatic acting.
Did you completely stop acting, or are you still kind of dabbling in that at all?
I'm still dabbling. I just got my first actually co-star during COVID. During
Oh, nice.
2020, I was a co-star on Grey's Anatomy. So I had a little like, yeah, I actually didn't have any lines. I just went, and like my chest exploded. Like it was kind of like that scene in Aliens. They had these prosthetics. I had these stitches that were supposed to that came apart. So yeah, but I got paid as a co-star because I guess the amount of screen time that I had on there.
That's the yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's the rule. How
yeah.
many how much screen time you get? I've had
hmm
those roles myself.
Okay, so you do acting as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I did acting. Now I'm in a swamp in Maine.
So listen, give me a road story. Tell me about the road, because I know you go out with Swardson sometimes.
I do. I was just with him last week, a week before. He hit me up like 2 days before, and he's like, "Hey man, can you do a casino with me?" And I was thinking, I know he's doing Morongo like next month. So I go, yeah, next month, Morongo. He goes, no, like in 2 days. I need you in Iowa. We'll fly you in, fly you out. You'll make X amount of money. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be there. So I went out there and I literally flew in, got there like 2 hours before the show started,
Right.
grabbed a bite to eat, had a few drinks, went on stage, left the next morning. So that's rare though. Typically I'll go out for like a week with him or something, or 5 days,
Uh-huh.
or a week and a half, whatever it is,
Right.
and it's fun, man. The funnest time I had with Nick was the first time he took me out. This was like I guess 10 years ago, 2014, the Taste It tour, and he had like a tour bus, and we felt like rock stars, dude. It was Alice Cooper's old tour bus, and that we and there was like a bar, there was like a master bedroom in the back that was Nick's, and I had like bunk. Me and the tour manager had these bunks, and that was a great time, dude. That was fun.
Do you
I'm
Well,
have
not,
any aspirations to be a working actor or no? Or you just want to do comedy?
of course. No, I want to do whatever will pay me not to have to do Uber Eats every once in a while. So yeah,
Right.
I'll do. I want to. It's funny that you brought up Nick because I would love to have a career like that where you're just like doing stand up and movies, like comedic
Uh-huh.
movies, and it's like that kind of combination. I would love maybe
Right.
write a script or two here and there.
Do
So
you
yeah,
write it all?
all the above.
Do you
What's
write it
that?
all?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, he
But
does.
haven't sold any scripts yet, but or shows, but
How
Okay.
someday.
how far did you get in Groundlings?
I got to at the time it was called the Writers Lab.
Yeah.
I hear that they changed it up a little bit now, but it was
Uh-huh.
like the third out of four classes. So if I and you know how they about Groundlings, like you have to be approved to go to the next class, and I didn't get approved to go to the final class, which was like the advanced. And from the advanced class, you become, you audition to become a groundling, a performer. And
Oh yeah.
I was
I,
so bitter towards them. I think that's another reason I went into stand up because I was like, screw this. Like, you rely on other people as your scene partners. And if they screw up, it screws up your scene. So I'm like, I don't want to rely on other people. I'm just going to do my own thing, do stand up, and never look back.
yeah, I like to refer to that as the Harvard of clown colleges.
That's true. It's not even like back in the day, it was the Harvard. Now it's like the community college. Now everyone's doing UCB.
Yeah.
UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade, is where it's at now.
I think I kind of meant like everybody I've met and I also got to the writers lab. Um,
Okay.
everybody I've met who's done Groundlings was pretty bitter when they dropped them, but is
Yeah.
in some way in the industry. And that's what I mean
Hmm.
by the Harvard of clown colleges, because you'll meet people in Groundlings that if you stay in the business, you will meet along the way.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah. I've known a lot of people that have done it.
Yeah.
But
And it's not necessarily going on with Groundlings, but it gives you some kind of a foundation and a connection that you do carry with you on into the industry.
yes. Yes. And I think it has helped me on stage with some of my improv between jokes.
Yeah,
You see what I did there, right? You see what I did?
I do. That's it.
Yes. Yes. And I agree.
Now, when you're working, how much crowd work do you do? Because you guys play like, bigger clubs and arenas.
Yeah, you know what? I try to keep it to kind of a minimum because I don't get as much time. When I'm like doing a 20-minute set, I don't want to waste half of it on crowd work. So I'll throw a little bit in there here and there. But I got to get to my 20 minutes of jokes, before I bring on, the headliner, Nick or
Right.
whoever. I'm still at the level where I'm doing a lot of featuring spots, 20 minutes, 15 minutes. So I don't want to waste a lot of it on crowd work. But when I get my hour special, when I start doing 45 minutes, hours, I'll probably throw in more crowd work, as a percentage of my time on stage.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you if this is your progression, right? Because when I got started a long, long time ago, the progression was you become an MC, you then become a middle, and a middle does like 30, and then you become a headliner who does 45. Now, to me, the way to build your act is from the MC position, especially
Yeah.
initially, you know?
Well, that is true. And I think being an MC gives you a lot of skills. I mean, I was never like an MC that would go out on tour with people or like MC all the time, but I've done it, and I think even like I started out doing open mics as you probably did. Everyone starts with open, but then I became like the open mic host for a while. I was an open mic host for like years, and that gave me a lot of skills. And then
Right, right.
from then I started doing the middle, as you call it, yeah, or the feature. And
Okay.
then next, I mean, I've headlined, but like bars, like or like not. I need to start headlining like real comedy clubs and casinos, and that's where the money's at, obviously.
Yeah, but I think out here it comes with if you get spots at the three big clubs, then you start headlining,
Exactly.
around other places. Now, if you get
Hmm.
started in New York or some other state, then you learn how to be a headliner on the road. But that doesn't put
Okay.
you on TV and that won't get you a Netflix special. Being in rural Maine, like my friend Dave.
You can't just show up at the comedy store or the improv or the Laugh Factory. I assume that's what you mean by the big three, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
say as a relatively unknown comic and just start headlining those places. Like So even in LA, you got to go on the road as someone that doesn't have a name to headline. Really, I mean,
Right. Okay. Dave?
My one question is a dumb celebrity story. My example is I was driving over Mulholland one time and I cut off William Shatner. I was driving by and I zoomed up and I turned around. Holy shit, that's William Shatner. So give me a dumb celebrity story.
but also, did you know that William Shatner is 94 years old?
Yes,
I
and he
just saw
works
that,
really hard.
and he seems like he's like 60. Yeah, he's like
Yeah. And
Um,
I
what's the Ron Jeremy thing? That was my. I have
No,
questions
no,
about
no. It was
everything.
William Shatner. I made a mistake. I
Oh,
thought
okay.
it was Ron
Same
Jeremy.
thing. Yeah, same. They both boldly gone where no man has gone before.
That's right.
Um,
I posit that anybody who lived in Hollywood for the time that, up until he got arrested, has run into Ron Jeremy at a bar or a coffee shop or something somewhere.
everyone, yes,
Ever.
that is. Isn't that weird? I feel like he has clones. Everyone I know literally has bumped into Ron Jeremy. Have you, Kevin?
No.
I've
Oh,
seen
yeah,
him.
well, that's not true. I saw him once. I didn't bump into him, though.
Well, not literally. Yeah, like,
It's not.
ow, what is that?
I
Is
mean,
that
when
a
I
roll
saw him, he was
recorder?
fat and had gray hair, man.
No, I've seen him in Barney's Beanery, where me and Kevin met, and I've seen him at Cantor's, where I waited tables. He used to come into Cantor's, I'd wait on him, and he'd order matzo ball soup. And typically, when you order a matzo ball soup at Cantor's, it comes with bagel chips. But he would be like, "No bagel chips anywhere on the plate, no bagel." Like he was allergic. It was weird. Um, who else? I mean, I met remember Courtney Cox from Friends?
Yeah, everybody
Courtney
remembers
Cox.
her.
Yeah, I was a I was a barista at the Coffee Bean, and she came in, and I gave her a coffee, and I go, "I just want to say, I loved you in that Bruce Springsteen video you were in."
Right. That's what made her
Do you guys
famous.
remember? She was dancing in the dark,
That's what made her famous.
and she thought I was probably going to say Friends, like everyone does. And I said that, and she just looked at me confused, and she goes, "That was a long time ago." I was like, "Yeah, but it was badass. You can
That's too
dance,
funny.
girl." So
Yeah.
that one just popped into my head. Mm. There's so many. Like I've as a waiter, like a server in LA, going to the comedy clubs, I bumped into so many celebrities. And trying to think of
I
another
like I
good.
like your Ron Jeremy story so far. So that was pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. That was one
Man,
of them.
well, Jason, thanks for
Yeah,
doing this.
no problem. Thanks for
I
having me.
appreciate it.
Well, it's only downhill from here, boys. I hate to
That's
tell you
right.
now. Once you shouldn't start with the best, man. By the way, my name is not Rennobu. It's EBU, but that's okay. I'm
Well,
here, Reno.
come on, man.
It's fine. It is. Yeah.
Ebonics. I'm sorry. My bad.
We'll have
I'm not
Kevin
That's
French
fire.
either,
hilarious.
so.
All right, boys. Well, thanks for having me, and good luck with the podcast.
Well, thanks,
And
man.
have a lovely weekend.
You
Thank you. You
too.
too.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
See, great guy.
Nice guy.
And he
Um,
had
I
stories.
I am reminded that I we're talking about um, the Groundlings, and my final class before I didn't go on. Uh, we did a show. It's a writing lab, so you do a show, and then we went out to a bar on Melrose Avenue afterward.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and this is how old I am. That when we went into the bar, Al Gore was president, and when I left the bar that night, George W. Bush was president.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that was a
So that,
long time ago.
yeah, but that's the hanging Chad thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
24 years ago.
Wow. Amazing. Well, sir, I guess that'll do it for this episode of Workaday Hollywood. I'd like to thank our guest, Jason Renable, our host, David Adams Hood, and my name is Kevin R. Livingston. I hope you folks will be well. By the way, there's more. Well, you want to
TMZ.
take the tinsel out of Tinseltown
Yeah.
and you were telling me how being an actor is hard work, and
Yeah.
I was saying being a truck driver is hard work.
Yes, they're both hard work in different ways. I mean, the pressure on an actor, and this is part of what I'd want to talk about, is very high because a lot of money is riding on your performance. You go in early, you're waiting a long time. There's a lot of anticipation that goes into it. It's work.
Yeah, but what about the guy who's delivering soybeans?
That guy's working hard too.
But I think he's working harder than an actor who goes to Crafty, who has a trailer, who has an assistant at their beck and call. You know, the top flight actors. I'm not talking about, the paid extra, right? I'm talking about
Right.
the people who make money.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about the top flight actor either. I think that's a different class of actor. It's like we have classes in all of society. The people at the top don't have to work as hard because there's money behind them, and they have the assistants, like you said, and an agent that can limit the amount of sitting around they do. But normal actors like Jason, normal actors like our guest that's coming up, um, they they don't have those things. They don't have an assistant. They don't have somebody, rolling out the carpet in front of them before they walk places. We're talking to real working actors, real working writers, real working set designers. That's who I want to talk to here. Is the people who make Hollywood run, who aren't at the top 1%.
Yeah, but I mean, anybody who, it seems like to me, lives life, right, doesn't have an assistant either, and they do all those things. A homemaker, for instance, takes care of the light, gas, mortgage. They're doing all of that, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't have an assistant. And they work an 8-hour day, maybe. Some work a 12-hour day if they're nurses, right?
Yeah.
So, I just, come on. I've
I'm not
heard
using
other actors say that and Denzel, in fact, what I do isn't really work. That's what he says. And I
right.
agree with him because he ain't digging ditches.
Because he's at the 1%. But he's not seeing that the other people who make him look good in that movie are working and working hard. And I'm not just talking about the other actors, although I am talking about them. I'm also talking about the makeup people. I'm talking about the writers. I'm talking about people who are working in this industry. Um, yes, and so if you want to talk to Elon Musk and use that as an example of everybody in tech, then nobody in tech works hard. But that's bullshit. Of course, people work hard. Of course, people work hard in order to make Denzel look good. And he doesn't have to work as hard. No, because he's Denzel. He's at that top 1%. But there are a lot of people in Hollywood working hard to make Hollywood work. And that includes you and me.
All right. I disagree, but okay.
All right.
I mean, we all have um, our day jobs. I mean, I have stories of doing catering and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we
Yeah.
all have to do something to survive, right? But
I'm getting,
I've never looked at acting as being hard. I really haven't. Even studying lines and staying up all night trying to get the commercial right and whatever else. And it's halfway been good to me because I one time went to Uruguay to shoot a commercial. I mean, most people can't do that. So, yeah. I mean, I get it, but it still isn't that hard.
I think it's as hard as anything. At the end of the day, part of the hard work of being an actor is not acting that much.
Right.
Is having to is the time that you put in to do the auditions, to do that kind of work, all the different kinds of work that aren't the reward part of the work. I mean, there is the reward part, but there's a lot that goes behind the reward part. And I just respect anybody who's willing to put in the kind of work that allows them to be a series regular or make a living being an extra in many, 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 many films, television shows, that kind of thing. I mean, it is work. It's all work.
All
And
right.
you haven't been on as many sets as I have. Maybe that's it.
Okay.
don't know, but I mean, it's work. I mean, and I see people working on sets, and again, that's not just actors. That's also everybody else who makes those 1% people look good.
And on that note, I guess we're done.